What's up, fellow citizens of the world? Jordan Patrick here and welcome to my channel. So for those of you who are new, I'm an American living abroad in France, and today I thought we'd count down the top 5 best things about French mentality. And that does not include this freaking hat. So let's get started. On y va, c'est parti! So for number 5 on the list, I'm gonna say sharing is caring. So for those of you who don't know, France is pretty socialistic. Those who have a lot give back a lot as well. Healthcare is universal, which is going to be another point on the list. Spoiler alert. But here they share a lot of things. I didn't know that I would become socialistic after living abroad, but hey, people change and I really like how things are done. People live a pretty balanced life here, which is a positive thing. There are some situations I do believe could be improved. Not gonna get into that now, that's for another time, but they do tend to share a lot here in France. So I would definitely say that this is a positive thing. Even on the streets, like when I'm driving around, I realize that people are very respectful. Partager la route. I'm talking about the French countryside. I am not talking about Paris. People cray in Paris. So number 4 on my list is critiquing, which I've also mentioned in another video about things I wish I would have known before moving to France. But when I mean critiquing, I mean that here they love to criticize pretty much everything. But I love that about French culture because it gives value to things that deserve it. And if you're critiquing something, then you're giving it interest and that you're paying attention and you actually have some ideas that they could do better for a prochaine fois, for your next project, for example. So here they really believe that not everything is amazing or great or awesome and splendid. I don't know, that's a weird word. No. They will give credit where it's due, but they're also going to critique to keep you in check, which that's something I definitely support, and I like that about French culture. Okay, so for number 3 on the list, the states and the church are completely separate here in France. Now in the States, they say that, oh, the church and state are separate. However, on official documents, it'll say things like, "In God we trust," or even on our money. On our dollars and our coins in the US, it says, "In God we trust." How the heck is that a separation between states and church? It's not. In France, you cannot wear anything that's showing a religion in public spaces that are state-owned. Like schools, for example. You cannot go to school wearing something that is showing your religion because that is a private matter. That is something that you practice in a private space. Also in government buildings like the city hall, for example, la mairie, because in France, they are two completely separate things. You cannot have "In God we trust" on an official French documents. No, you will never see that. So yeah, that's definitely something that I agree with and support. I don't think during the Pledge of Allegiance in the States, we should be saying things like "one nation, under God, liberty and justice for all." They say it's separate, but it's a little contradictory in some places. So yeah, that's my number 3 on the list. Okay, so for number 2 on the list, I really like this one because it's a French expression that goes "doucement le matin, pas trop vite le soir." This is talking about le mode de vie, or the lifestyle here in France, especially in the south, because it's not completely the same in Paris, totally different environment. But here in the Provence, they really like to take their time, they like to enjoy life and live in the moment, which is something I really appreciate, especially after living multiple years in Paris. And to be in Limoges now, it's a much slower pace. And it's really enjoyable. And I know that I've mentioned it in other videos before, but here in France, they really like to only work to live, and they don't live to work, which is another motto and expression that I really appreciate here in France. And so yeah, that made it all the way to number 2 on my list because it's something I really appreciate. So unless you're taking a little nap earlier or you have the memory of a goldfish, you already know what my number one is gonna be, and that is universal healthcare. So here in France, healthcare is a born right. It is not a privilege. As a French citizen, you have the right to healthcare. It doesn't matter about your job. It doesn't matter about your parents, your wealth, anything like that. If you are a living, breathing person, you deserve healthcare. And there's so many people in the States that struggle and that have to think about that. I love that here in France, I don't worry about things like my healthcare or how much things are gonna cost if I visit a doctor or have a procedure or something like that. It's that peace of mind that so many people are lacking in the US. And that's something that people here will never take for granted because healthcare in France is one of the best in the whole entire world. And that's why I have picked this one for my number one in the top 5 best things about the French culture. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below if there are any other things that you really appreciate about the French culture and what are your top 5 or even just top 1. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so now and I will see you in the next one. I post English videos on Wednesdays and French videos the first Sunday of every month. So I'll see you then. À la prochaine. Ciao, ciao for now.